Welcome to the realm of your favorite horror storyteller. This video contains multiple scary stories. Be sure to watch until the very end. Should you wish to navigate between stories, time codes are provided below. Also, thank you for all your feedback and support so far. We appreciate it. Now let's get started.
In Ember Falls, nights were usually tranquil, the sky a canvas of stars undisturbed by city lights. This tranquility was shattered one autumn evening when the heavens themselves seemed to fracture. Brilliant, unnatural lights swirled and danced above the forest that cradled the town in its leafy embrace. At first, the spectacle drew families from their homes, wrapped in blankets against the chill, eyes turned upwards in wonder. The awe was short-lived. Charlie, a local hiker known for his dawn-to-dusk treks, was the first to vanish. Friends waiting for him at the edge of the forest found only his backpack, its contents spilled as if dropped in haste. The search parties found no trace of him, just a silence in the woods that felt like a held breath. Then came the night when laughter turned to screams. A group of teenagers, daring each other to touch the haunted tree deep within the forest, disappeared. Only one returned, babbling about shadows that whispered and moved against the wind. Panic bloomed as more citizens vanished, each disappearance marked by those eerie lights that no longer held any beauty, only terror. The mayor, a stern woman named Martha, imposed a curfew, her own fear thinly veiled behind a facade of control. But her daughter, Ellie, saw the truth in her eyes. Old Man Jenkins, long dismissed as the town's resident conspiracy theorist, became an oracle of doom. From his cluttered porch, he spoke of invaders from the stars. His warnings no longer met with amused skepticism, but with fearful glances. It was after the disappearance of Martha's daughter from her locked room, a room filled with a cold light that left no trace, that the town's skepticism shattered completely. In its place grew a desperate need for answers, for action. Jake, a high school senior whose courage often bordered on recklessness, felt the weight of those unspoken pleas. His own friend had been among the teenagers who vanished that fateful night. Fueled by a mix of grief and defiance, he rallied his friends, including Ellie, who sought to understand her sister's fate. They armed themselves with what little they could: flashlights that seemed too dim against the dark, cameras to capture proof, and makeshift weapons forged from fear. Their plan was simple. They would venture into the forest, to the heart of the mystery, and confront whatever awaited them. The night they chose was eerily still, the forest a wall of shadows that watched and waited. As they crossed the threshold of trees, the air grew colder, the silence deeper. It felt as though they were not merely entering a forest, but another world, one that watched them with unseen eyes. The lights appeared as they reached the clearing, a spectacle of colors that no longer held any beauty, only an ominous intent. From the lights emerged figures, shadows against the luminance, shapes that defied logic, moving in ways that made the onlooker's skin crawl. The air vibrated with a sound that wasn't sound, a hum that resonated within their very bones. Panic set in as the figures advanced, their intentions unreadable, but their hostility palpable. The group scattered, their unity shattered by primal fear. Jake found himself running blindly, the forest around him alive with movement. When dawn broke, Jake stumbled out of the forest, alone and irrevocably changed. His friends were scattered, some missing, their fates unknown. The town of Ember Falls lay before him, its peace shattered by the events of the night, its future uncertain. In the light of day, the forest seemed ordinary, the events of the night almost unbelievable. But Jake knew the truth. The lights, the figures, the disappearances, they were all harbingers of something more, something beyond human understanding. The arrival of the lights above Ember Falls was just the beginning. The day after the chaotic night in the woods, Ember Falls found itself cloaked in an uneasy silence. The sun rose, indifferent to the fear that had taken root in the town. Jake, exhausted but driven by a relentless need for answers, found himself at the forefront of a desperate search for his friends, some of whom had vanished into the night. Gathering at the edge of the forest, Jake, Ellie, and a few others who had managed to escape the previous night's terror steeled themselves for what was to come. The forest loomed before them, its once welcoming paths now seeming to twist into menacing shadows. Despite their fear, the resolve in their hearts pushed them forward. They were not just seeking their friends, they were confronting the unknown. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the peculiar silence from the night before enveloped them once more. The air felt charged, heavy with anticipation. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon a clearing they had never seen before. The ground was scorched, marked with patterns that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. It was here, in this alien landscape, that they realized the full extent of their situation. The creatures they had seen were not just visitors, they were hunters, and the residents of Ember Falls were their prey. The realization hit them like a physical blow. They were in over their heads, facing a threat they could barely comprehend, let alone fight. But as they prepared to retreat, the creatures emerged from the shadows, their forms shifting, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. A frantic chase ensued, the terror palpable in the air as they ran for their lives. The creatures were relentless, their movements eerily silent as they glided over the ground. It was only through sheer luck and the desperate ingenuity of the group that they managed to escape, using the forest's dense foliage and the creatures' momentary confusion to their advantage. Emerging from the forest, the survivors were met with a town gripped by paranoia and fear. The news of their encounter and the footage they had captured spread like wildfire. But rather than rallying the town to action, it seemed to drive them further apart. Accusations flew, with some blaming the group for provoking the creatures, while others suggested it was all an elaborate hoax. In the midst of the chaos, Jake and Ellie found an unlikely ally in Old Man Jenkins. Dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, Jenkins had been preparing for an event like this for years. His knowledge of alien lore and his collection of supposed alien tech suddenly took on a new significance. According to Jenkins, the creatures were using the forest as a hunting ground, but for what purpose, he could not say. Determined to find their missing friends and uncover the truth, Jake, Ellie, and their group, alongside Jenkins, began to piece together the clues they had. They realized that the creatures' appearances were tied to the ancient astronomical event Jenkins had obsessed over for years. This event, a rare alignment of planets, was believed to open doorways between worlds. As night began to fall, the group made a decision that would change their lives forever. Armed with Jenkins' knowledge and whatever makeshift weapons they could muster, they set out to confront the creatures once more. This time, they would not run. They were going to fight back to protect their town, their loved ones, and themselves. The night air was thick with tension as they entered the woods. The familiar paths were now fraught with danger, every shadow a potential threat. But there was no turning back. The fate of Ember Falls, of their friends, and perhaps of their very world, rested in their hands. Venturing once again into the heart of the woods, the group feels the weight of their town's fate on their shoulders. The forest, a familiar setting turned alien battlefield, whispers with the movements of unseen foes. The group's plan is simple yet audacious. Use Jenkins' knowledge to disrupt whatever power the aliens possess over reality and their disguises, and force a confrontation on human terms. The night is alive with the eerie glow of the alien lights, a beacon drawing the group ever deeper into the woods. As they navigate the treacherous terrain, they come across a clearing that pulses with an otherworldly energy, the epicenter of the alien presence. It's here they set their trap, using a series of makeshift devices crafted from Jenkins' collection of alien tech and earthly ingenuity. The trap sprung, the clearing erupts into chaos. The devices emit a dissonant cacophony that seems to fracture the very air, revealing the true forms of the aliens hidden among the trees. No longer shrouded in mystery, the creatures are a horrifying blend of the familiar and the unimaginable, their forms shifting in the pulsing light. The battle that ensues is frantic and terrifying. The group fights with everything they have, their weapons barely leaving marks on the aliens' strange forms. It's a dance of light and shadow, with every flash of a weapon casting grotesque shadows across the clearing. Amidst the chaos, Jake and Ellie push forward, driven by a desperate hope that their plan will work. As the fight reaches its climax, the ground beneath the clearing begins to shift, opening up to reveal a glowing fissure in the earth. The fissure emits a sound that resonates on a frequency that is almost unbearable, a signal calling forth more of the alien creatures from the depths below. In a moment of realization, Jake and Ellie understand the true nature of the alien presence in Ember Falls. These creatures are not just invaders, they are harvesters, collecting not resources, but people. The missing townsfolk, their friends, are being taken not as hostages, but as specimens. With this grim knowledge, the stakes of the battle become painfully clear. It's not just about survival anymore, it's about rescue. Rallying their dwindling strength, the group focuses their assault on the fissure, aiming to collapse it and cut off the alien incursion. The final push is a blur of motion and emotion. Explosions rock the clearing as the fissure begins to close, the alien screams mingling with the sounds of battle. Just as it seems the effort might be too much, the fissure seals shut, the light extinguishing with a final, resounding crack. The aftermath is a scene of devastation. The clearing, once a place of natural beauty, is now a scarred battleground. The group, battered and exhausted, stands amidst the wreckage, their victory Pyrrhic but clear. The alien threat has been pushed back, the gateway closed. For now, Ember Falls is safe. But the cost is high. The group mourns the loss of friends who were taken before the battle, their fates uncertain. And while the immediate threat is gone, the fissure's presence is a harrowing reminder that the universe is vast and unfathomable, and that Ember Falls might not be the only town at risk. As they make their way back to town, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon, Jake, Ellie, and the survivors carry with them not just the scars of the night's battle, but a resolve to protect their town, come what may. They know that the lights above might one day return, but they also know that they will be ready. Ember Falls, once a quiet town touched by the unknown, now stands as a beacon of resistance, a community united against the darkness that lurks among the stars. And while the future is uncertain, one thing is clear: they have faced the void and emerged stronger. Their whispers of defiance are testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. In the aftermath of their confrontation with the alien presence, Ember Falls seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The town slowly came back to life, with people cautiously stepping out of their homes, looking up at the sky with a mixture of fear and wonder. The group's actions had not gone unnoticed, and they were greeted as heroes, though they felt anything but. Jake and Ellie, along with the surviving members of their impromptu militia, were summoned to an emergency town meeting. The town hall was packed, a sea of faces turned towards them, hungry for answers. The mayor, her eyes red-rimmed but shining with unshed tears of relief at her daughter's return, gave them the floor. The story they told was one of horror and heroism, of an otherworldly threat that had come perilously close to consuming their town. They spoke of the creatures from the void, of the battle in the woods, and of the fissure that had threatened to unleash untold terror upon Ember Falls. The audience listened in rapt silence, their disbelief suspended by the tangible evidence of the night's events. But it was Jenkins, with his decades of research and speculation on extraterrestrial phenomena, who provided the context for what had occurred. He spoke of cosmic cycles, of gates between worlds that opened at intervals dictated by the stars. The creatures, he posited, were harvesters, part of a larger ecosystem that humanity barely understood, one that viewed Earth and its inhabitants as nothing more than resources to be exploited. The revelation was a bitter pill for the townsfolk to swallow. The threat might have been repelled, but the underlying cause remained. The fissure, though closed, was a stark reminder of their vulnerability. The universe was vast, and they were but a speck in its infinite expanse. In the days that followed, Ember Falls worked to fortify itself. Under the guidance of Jenkins and with the newfound resolve of its residents, the town began to prepare for the possibility of future incursions. Surveillance was established around the forest, and a volunteer militia was formed, its ranks filled by those who had fought in the clearing and those who wished to defend their home. Ellie took up the mantle of her father's legacy, working alongside Jake to ensure that Ember Falls would never again be caught off guard. They reached out to other communities, sharing their story and the lessons they had learned. What had happened in Ember Falls was not an isolated incident. It was a part of a larger pattern, one that spanned the globe. As the weeks turned into months, the scars of the battle began to fade, but its memory remained, etched into the town's collective consciousness. The group that had stood against the void became known as the Watchers, a testament to their vigilance. And while life in Ember Falls returned to a semblance of normalcy, the night sky was forever changed. The stars, once a source of beauty and wonder, now held a hint of menace. But the townsfolk of Ember Falls looked up with a new sense of purpose. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, but they knew that the void was vast, and whispers from the darkness could once again call forth the harvesters. The events at Ember Falls became a beacon, a warning to the world that humanity was not alone in the universe. The Watchers, with Jake and Ellie at the forefront, continued their work, safeguarding not just their town, but also contributing to a global network of observers and defenders. Ember Falls, once an obscure town on the edge of the woods, now stood as a symbol of resilience and unity in the face of the unknown. And while the void whispered with the promise of return, the people of Ember Falls whispered back, their voices united in defiance and hope.
Well, there you have it, folks. A tale that might just keep you up tonight. If you dare to hear more stories that go bump in the night, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our haunting adventures. Give this video a thumbs up if it sent a chill down your spine, and share it with those who could use a little scare. Remember, some stories are just tales, while others, well, let's just say you might want to keep that nightlight on. See you in the next video if you dare. Until then, sweet nightmares.